Hi there. Welcome. My name is Dean. This is our program for today. And again, full house. Really happy about that, actually. Everybody's here today, which is weird because it's a fucking snow day. Please welcome to the program Lachlan Cross from 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton. Ray Rauth from Talking Football with Ray, the podcast here at DeanBlundell.com and anywhere you get your fine podcasts. Of course, Bonzi Live. That is Greg Bond from Tripping with Bonzi, the podcast. And that is James D. Fiore from Blackballed the podcast and blackballmedia.ca. Everybody that's on this call, I think, for the most part, is in Ontario. Now, if people aren't familiar, Ontario got this incredible dump of snow today, and I'm not shitting you. It's like 4 feet of snow just outside my door. Tried to take off this morning, couldn't do it. Told everybody to stay home and do what everybody does on days like today, sit by the fire, and send out about 400 stupid tweets. Right? That's
you know what we don't
doing
get?
Today.
We don't
What's
get
that?
fucking snow days in Alberta.
I know.
You know why? Because we can deal with this shit.
We didn't get them back in
guys-
the day. When we grew up, there were not many snow days. It had to be deep for snow days. And now it's like if there's a little bit, they cancel buses.
Yeah, you guys call in the fucking National Guard if you get 2 inches of snow.
We're
That was
pussies.
one time.
Such
One
whips.
time.
Yeah, right.
Such whips.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
it wasn't
fuck
even
one
bad
goat.
today. Like you think you think calling in the National Guard's bad today. Fordsy was out traipsing the streets. Dude, we can't
is
find
awesome.
him. We can't find this fuck for like an entire year. and then all of a sudden it snows and he's Mr. fucking Plow.
That looks like a cake, but it's actually one of his skin tags that he's shoving up there.
This guy's fucking unbelievable. So
He's
he
a
calls
pisser.
in this morning. We're going to get to some wild card football with Ray in just a second. He calls. I wanted to deal with this because it was fucking took my breath away this morning. The premier of the province of Ontario calls in this morning. So dude can't be found for a year, Ray. A year. We haven't seen him for a fucking year. We did the math. He worked, and I shit you not, 13.5 hours out of the entire year last year. So like he's been like persona non grata. We get the biggest snowstorm of the year. This guy goes out, and what does he do? Calls a local news television station that his buddy owns it, Mirko Bibic from Bell. He owns it, and he's like, hey, can you put me on? This is what happened. Can you put me on your local television news station showing me running around in my truck pretending like I'm Mr. Plow, the Blizzard Master, because I need some goodwill, and I need it bad. And if you don't believe me, this is fucking awesome to watch. Like, I have never in my life seen bigger grandstanding at a better time because this guy is such a fucking
Trudeau?
hero. Oh no, this is next level grandstanding. That
Is
was
it?
like emotional grandstanding. Watch this. Watch Fordsy try and CP24, a Bell station, try to tell everybody after he fucking killed a bunch of people in the province of Ontario that he's some kind of fucking hero. This is awesome to watch. Watch this.
Doug Ford, who joins me now. Good morning, Mr. Premier. Hi, George. How you doing? I'm good. Good to talk to you. So look,
Oh, my God.
God rest his
Totally
soul.
spontaneous.
He's driving around and he's on his phone, so he's got a dangerous driving charge right here.
On people, George, like everyone else is helping out. Cars are stuck all over the place. Firefighter, fire truck down the road here trying to get to someone's house. I guess they have an emergency down here. But just making sure people are safe in their cars and anything.
People
I
are
can
safe in
do
their
to help
cars.
them. And here's another gentleman right here. I'm just gonna
Look
While
at
podcasting while driving.
gentleman right here.
making sure the cars,
This was
Sure you
staged
guys are
because you,
okay.
Yeah, if you're Doug, you don't just pull up to somebody just in case.
Gotta do what
they
you
go,
gotta do.
Fuck you, you fat prick! Get in that truck and drive away.
You know what's funny about that too is that the last time I saw a
Everything.
politician drive dangerous like that was when his brother, remember his brother was caught driving while his briefcase was open and he was reading documents while driving
And
someone
on the phone. Yeah.
and someone videotaped it. Oh, and now he's doing it.
they
He's
have
turning into his
drivers?
brother without
How
his
is that
fucking
helping?
crack habit.
By the way,
What do you mean? How's it helping?
well, he says he's out there and he's helping everybody, like
He's not
rolling
helping
down your
anybody.
window and Like,
Dude, he's not helping anybody. Doug Ford didn't dude. The entire reason Mr. Plow went out today is because, keep this in
That's his
mind.
name.
Mr. Plow, Doug Ford, he has
Sounds like a
been
kid's cartoon.
legitimately invisible for the last year. Invisible. Like we're like, hey, is he going to
Those
address
cheesecakes aren't going to eat themselves, Dean.
Is he gonna? Is he gonna address the closing of the schools? No. Is he gonna say anything about Omicron? No. Is he gonna say anything about vaccine mandates? No. Is he gonna say anything? Literally disappeared. And the only time we see him is when he tells everybody, he goes, he is such a piece of shit. It is fucking colossal. It is so hard to fucking.
In fairness to Lachlan.
If you're a hero, hang on. If you're a hero
Trudeau-ish.
and you're going out to help people, you don't say anything about it. You just go fucking do it.
That's why it's
right?
like Trudeau. Remember the sandbags?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look at me helping put some sand in a fucking sandbag.
Sorry to interrupt.
Here's the thing, and listen, I am not defending any politician. I am so done with all of them. They all can just walk off a cliff, in my very humble opinion. But you got to feel for Dougie here. Because, listen, he steps up and he makes an announcement about whatever it is. Doesn't even matter. Schools closing, masks coming, whatever. It doesn't matter. We shit all over him. Then he gets in his truck to go help people in the snow, and we shit all over him. He gets on stage, talks about Tim Hortons. We shit all over him.
That's right.
This fat bastard can't do anything right.
That's
But
correct.
he's not doing anything. This truck, he's fucking useless. If you showed me he's out there actually helping somebody or helping shovel some poor old lady's driveway or sidewalk,
He's a week away from a heart
rah-rah.
attack, Bonzi. He's
That's
not
the
getting out
grift.
of the truck.
We know his motive.
Driving around going, "Are you okay?" Like, that's not helping people. It's
We
probably
know the
being
motive,
more of a
guys.
hindrance.
That's why we know. If one of us helped an old lady clear a driveway, then that's doing something. But when he does it, we know the motive, and we know there's a reason why it's on footage. It's
totally.
a PR exercise. It's a photo op. That's all it is.
Does it work anymore? Like, should
Oh,
politicians
dude, he is
just
getting
stop?
dragged. Like, I wrote an article about it, and it has hundreds of, it's got literally tens of thousands of views, and I put it out like an hour ago. Yahoo put out an article, Yahoo Canada. It's like, hey, Ford goes out to do the right thing, absolutely gets endlessly mocked for trying it.
As he
It
should.
was fucking so bizarre. He picked up one dude, and this is the fucking crazy part to me. Maskless, just picking people up in a pandemic, and made sure the guy put it on social media. Watch this. This is fucking great.
This is Doug Ford.
I'm the taxi driver today. The snowplow. Everything else.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Is he special needs or just high? Because he's one of the two.
I love it.
And also, if you look really closely, you can see $40 sticking out of his inside pocket, because that's probably the only reason that guy even did that. You know,
Look, Doug picked me up. We're going to Tim's.
yeah.
He looks like that Uber driver who
Couple
picked up
Boston
Antonio
creams.
Brown.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Let's get to football. Fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's a
there you go,
good
Doug
point.
Ford. Superhero, everybody.
Yeah.
What a fucking hero. And you know what? He can't be a hero unless he's telling people about it. That's why you know he's a piece of shit. Ray Rauth, talking football with Ray, is here. Hey, Ray, how you doing, buddy? Nice
So
to
there was some football this weekend.
little bit of football this weekend, yeah.
Right.
There was,
NFL football.
but the fact that you guys started with Doug Ford piece actually fits in perfect there. So I was going to tweet this out, but when I found out it was coming on the show, I waited for it. I got this comment last week on my YouTube page. I got to read it for you. So it said, "Ray, thanks for putting me on to the Dean Blundell show. I love it. It's like listening to you, except they're smarter and talk about more important shit."
Sorry. Did I go too far?
I didn't know how to take that. I wasn't sure how to take it. So
That sounds like a locker room listener.
Yeah, thanked them for watching and moved on. I thought I'd share that with you guys know.
All right, I appreciate it, brother. Thanks so much. I feel the same way. It's funny. It's intimidating even having you on because I watched the entire schedule this weekend, and I was really happy. We had football, really 3 straight days, right? We got Saturday, Sunday, and then tonight we got Cardinals-Rams, which I'm really excited for because whoever wins that goes up against TB12, and to see Kyler Murray against Tom Brady would be kind of cool. But anyway, the only 2 games that really mattered to me were the Bills game, and that was a walk, 47 to who cares, and the Cowboys losing to the Niners because Cowboys fans do what they do every year when they lose at home in the playoffs. They just beat the shit out of each other and threw stuff at the players, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. But that's
Those
the
are the best
Cowboys.
highlights.
That's Cowboy Nation. Cowboys are always going to cowboy themselves. Good for you. When I was watching that game, I tweeted out sometime when they were on that final drive, and I said, I'm really happy that Dallas is giving all the Cowboys fans false hope right now, when it looked like they could possibly do something. And I think Dak Prescott them calling a quarterback run with 14 seconds left and no timeouts was just the most Mike McCarthy call in the world. It was so Dallas. It was just such a Dallas way to lose that game yesterday. And yeah, the Cowboys fans' reaction was just, I mean, that's old hat now. It's entertaining to watch. I saw TVs getting smashed. They were really classy, throwing beer cans at their players as they came off the field. I saw a tweet this morning from a Dallas Cowboys player. I forget his name. He's a Canadian guy from Ottawa. And he basically said, listen, Cowboys Nation, I deserve what I got. I took that penalty yesterday. Please throw it at me. But please leave my family out of it, because they're sending death threats to his family. Like,
wow.
Congratulations, Cowboys
next
fans.
level.
Congratulations.
Dude, did you see the Cowboys fan and that at the end of the game, when the ref came in and it looked like, and keep in mind, listen, the ref didn't fuck up the end of the game for the Cowboys fans. You had 4 quarters to get it right and you didn't, you dumb fucks. So anyway, whatever. But long story short, did you see the dude that threw the beer at his TV and then shot it?
I did.
Shot the TV.
Dude, one of the all-time
That sounds
great clips.
like a Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. That's the most Texas thing I've ever heard.
It is maybe one of the greatest videos you've ever seen, and it happened like towards the end of the game when the guy was like fucking crazy mad because he knew it was happening.
Honey, you're going to want to tape this.
And here comes the gun. Yeah.
Wow.
So fucked up.
He's really upset.
Do you know what I was thinking this weekend, Ray, when I was watching all this shit? I'm like, holy fuck. Do I miss the connection between human beings and football in the United States? Like, do I just not get it?
Yeah, so being somebody who covers football on American, like NFL on a regular basis, and having a primary audience of American, it's very different. And there's moments that I'm interacting with my audience, and I remember that I'm Canadian. It's a staunch a reminder, like, hey, you're Canadian, and you're not, crazy. It's literally a lifestyle for them. I came out. I'm not no word of a lie. I got a death threat in August because I came out and said that football is fun. My intro to my podcast says we're talking about grown men playing a kid's game. Like, let's just have fun, enjoy it. It's entertainment. These are just entertainers. We're there to watch fun or have fun. And I was telling people that they take football too serious. I had somebody DM me a death threat followed by his 2-paragraph explanation to me of why being a Patriots fan is a way of life. And I don't understand.
Wow.
And what I've discovered is, especially with a lot of the football fans I interact with, they don't have a whole lot going on in their life. And their social support system is very small. And being a part of something and being a part of this is literally a way of life for them. So I don't, I'm not careful about it. I don't care because it's fucking football and they need to treat it like it's football. But it's amazing to me how
wouldn't give out your address.
I put out pictures of like my dog, and the responses to it are, do you think Belichick's going to pick up a wide receiver? And I'm like, what? Or, no word of a lie, I tweeted out on my daughter's birthday this year. I'm like, can't believe my daughter's 10 now. Both my kids are double digits. Put out this whole fatherly emotional thing, and literally had 5 questions about who's going to be the starting quarterback, Mac Jones or Cam Newton. And I'm like, that's what the fuck you guys got out of this tweet, So it's a way of life. It's all they think about.
Well, you said 2 paragraphs. They're not going to fucking read you.
They probably repeated themselves.
I had a moment this weekend when I was on the DMs on our Dean Blundell podcast DMs on Twitter, and everyone's going back and forth about football. And I mean, I didn't sit down and watch 5 games. I sat down, watched a bit of a game, went for a walk with a dog, grabbed a beer, watched a bit more. I'm a casual football fan at best, but I realized that I quite often cheer against teams because of people I know that I don't like, and it's their team. And I'm wondering if I'm alone on that, because I know somebody that, well, I cheer against the Seahawks because of that. And I cheer against the Cowboys because of somebody.
Same.
And I don't particularly have any real allegiance to these teams, but I will like literally, oh, that guy cheers for that team.
Oh, dude, when I watched, this was at the end of the game, and I was surfing Cowboys Twitter. Cowboys Twitter is not for the faint of heart, like not at all. Cowboys Twitter put this out afterwards, and the guy that put it out, one of the things that he said in his tweet, he's like, "We're so mad, we'll fight each other. Watch us." He's like, "Yeah, Cowboys fans just beating the shit out of each other."
Don't they sell belts in Texas?
And everybody,
you got a shape like that, you need a belt there, Tubby, or we're gonna see ass crack.
Fuck! It was a bad weekend for the Cowboys. They lose to the Niners, but let's talk about the Bills. I mean, it was almost boring. It wasn't a great weekend for football, and I know Bills fans really loved it, but it was over in like the first 12 minutes. I mean, it was a nothing game. But can we talk about Josh Allen for a second? Not just beating the Patriots, but like they didn't punt the ball, they didn't kick the ball, they didn't do it. They just kept going down and scoring every single possession after another. And Josh Allen, what was he, like 84% on the day, 66 yards, 5 touchdown passes? Was that one of the best playoff performances you've, and against a Bill Belichick
Only
defense?
66 yards?
300 yards rushing.
308
yards or something like that passing.
Yeah. What, like, how money was he this weekend, and what is that like? Do Bills fans like me go, well, maybe there's a chance against Mahomes this weekend, or no?
All right, so it's a two-headed monster. Him running the football is what makes him so dangerous. He only threw the ball 25 times. It wasn't a Josh, and he threw the ball more times in that win game when Mac Jones only threw it 3 times. He threw it 30 times on that Monday night game. So it wasn't a typical Josh Allen night of that 35 to 40 passes. However, I think he went 21 for 25. Yeah, 21 for 25, 308, 5 touchdowns. He had a 157.6 passer rating. A perfect passer rating is 158. So I don't know why he didn't get a 158. So he was that close. He had an absolute perfect game. 3 things happened in that game, which you're going to see different in Kansas City. Number one, the Patriots offense didn't have the juice to keep up with the Bills. And as they kept piling it on, it just kept getting worse and worse. I remember at one point, time of possession was disgusting in the first half. And I think time of possession was almost 75 to 25%, that's just, if you want to lose a game, that's the formula to lose a game. And I'm trying to look at the matchups here. Yeah, like Buffalo had 31 minutes of possession in that game. And that was really just near the end of the game when the Patriots went on a really long drive. Number 2, the Bills defense was phenomenal in that game. The Patriots were a bully team this year, one of the best rushing teams in the league. They held them to 89 yards. Mac Jones, 216 in the air. 2 interceptions. Patriots shot themselves in the foot a little bit, but by that point, it didn't matter. So many good things. That interception by Micah Hyde was unbelievable.
Crazy. That was fucking bananas.
Unreal.
That was a perfect dime. And he came out of nowhere across the field to snatch it, and he was already covered. Right?
So,
it was unbelievable. It changed the game.
It was almost one-handed.
Yeah,
it was almost one hand. He put
the
the
middle
second hand right there at the end, and it looked, I don't know, just looked amazing. Like the receiver had no idea.
So there was just so many good things that happened in that game. Again, Devin Singletary can run the football. I think he averaged like 5.1 yards per carry, it's huge considering that they couldn't. Yeah, he ran the ball 16 times for 81 yards, 5.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, 7 straight possessions, 7 straight touchdowns. They didn't punt the ball, which is probably good for Buffalo because of Matt Hack. I don't know if you want him punting the ball in any sort of crucial game. Going into Kansas City is going to be a little bit different. What I try to remind everybody, and this is me not taking anything away from Josh Allen. Yesterday I was on a show called Buffalo Fanatics, and I said, name a quarterback better than Josh Allen right now outside of Aaron Rodgers. You can't. Kansas City has the juice to go toe-to-toe with with Buffalo. And that's, I think, going to be the real test. I don't think there was anybody who went into this weekend who has an ounce of knowledge about football and thought the Patriots had any chance to beat the Bills. The only way they could have beat the Bills is what I say, if the Bills build themselves and just did, just basically collapsed under pressure. Kansas City is going to be a different beast. And I believe that game's going to be at Arrowhead Stadium, which is a difficult stadium to play in. Don't look at that Kansas City team as the team that they beat back in October. I think it was Canadian Thanksgiving on that Sunday. This Kansas City
rout. It was a rout too. They just beat the shit out of the Chiefs.
But that was the equivalent of what Buffalo looked like against Jacksonville. Right. And Kansas City's a very different team. It's going to be just an unbelievable matchup. I'm working on a piece for it right now, and if you're an NFL fan, this is it. The only thing that disappoints me is that this isn't the AFC Championship game coming up. But then I thought, well, the winner of this gets to play either Cincinnati and that's going to be a phenomenal game as well. So these are sort of the matchups that we want to see as football fans. We're starting to get treated. And what we saw was an absolute clinic, defensively, offensively, coaching. Buffalo did so many good things on Saturday night. And Belichick's defense got run over. It looked awful. And I think that's what shocked a lot of people. And that goes down to the coaching. And it's going to be interesting to watch Buffalo next year because I think they're going to lose both their coordinators to head coaching jobs this year, and especially defensively. And when you look at like Micah Hyde, when you look at Poyer, best safety tandem in the NFL, they were nobodies before they got to Buffalo. They were just guys. They were Jags, and they turned into something when they got under Buffalo. So it's really, Buffalo's a complete team. This is the team I thought they were going to be coming out the gates, and maybe they needed a little bit of that stumbling block to get to this point now.
You mean the second half of the season?
Yes, the second half of the season.
I just don't know what they are. Like that would be my problem. Like I'm a huge Bills fan. I know how good they are. I know the pieces that they have, but this year was kind of a mind fuck for Bills fans, was it not? Like you went into the playoffs. You and I were talking about it last week. You head into the playoffs, and you're like, do you trust Sean McDermott against Bill Belichick in a fucking playoff game? Not really. Not after how they matched up a couple of games prior to the end of the season. I didn't, but. I'm cautiously optimistic after what I saw. And after what I saw, it should be like a no-brainer that they're going to walk into Arrowhead and put up a fucking great fight. But it's the Chiefs, and you had the tale of two fucking Bills teams this year, Ray. Right?
You do, and I would also add to that you talk about, do you want to go up against Bill Belichick, who's probably, even with that loss, the best coach in the NFL. The second best coach in the NFL is Andy Reid. So you're going from one great mastermind to another. And then if you beat them, then you might have to go to Mike Vrabel, who's probably at the time the third or fourth best coach in the NFL. So coaching still matters in football. I think there's
also the Bills. Don't they deserve to lose?
No, they deserve to.
As a person who doesn't watch as much NFL as I used to, Josh Allen was like, it was like Dan Marino and Cam Newton had a baby. You know what I mean? Like he rifles that football every single pass. Like just like Marino used to do. And it was, I don't know. I thought I was really entertained. I thought that was like a brilliant performance. And I if that's what NFL football is like, maybe I'm just a Bills fan in this playoff series.
You should be
playoff here because
my Twitter mentions went crazy yesterday because I was on somebody else's live stream, and I said that Josh Allen, when it comes to the dual threats of what he can do on the ground and what he can do through the air, is the best dual threat quarterback since prime Michael Vick. And I will stand by that, and I will fight anybody who wants to try to prove me wrong. But there's no quarterback. He
ran so well, I didn't realize he was white. I didn't. I had no idea.
Well,
he was white.
People
holy crap,
people like to make the Lamar Jackson comparison to Michael Vick, but I'm like, they're not the same player. Lamar Jackson can't throw. I can throw harder than Lamar Jackson, and I was a fucking offensive lineman. Josh Allen is exactly who I thought Josh Allen was going to be. So I take a lot of hot takes, and I look stupid a lot for my hot takes. But 3 years ago, I said Josh Allen would be the best quarterback in the AFC East, and that's when Sam Darnold was supposed to be the pretty boy and the up and comer and the wonder boy of the division. So he's making me look smart right now. After Buffalo's just made me look dumb year after year after year. Tyrod Taylor and all the guys that I said were going to turn the team around. But you got to give. Dean, I know that you're 50-50 on Sean McDermott, and I know I shit upon him a little bit this year, but you got to give him a lot of credit too. It was outstanding coaching on Saturday night as well. You don't
he
win
made
by
that
40
adjustment.
points.
No,
You
but he
don't
made
win.
that adjustment, right? Like from week whatever it was it 13 or 14 where they got dummied by
Yeah.
I thought to myself, well,
England.
Jesus Christ, they just Bill Belichick's whole game plan was a prank and they won. So when you head into a playoff game, it's like, for me, it was all bets are off. But you're right. I mean, 47 points, 7 straight scoring drives. Josh Allen had a perfect game. Like, there wasn't anything he could do about it yesterday. And that's why I feel cautiously optimistic going into Kansas City. However, I mean, hopefully you don't get Josh Allen, the same guy that threw 3 interceptions against the Giants towards the end of the year. I hope we get the other I hope we get this Josh Allen again.
But
I don't know if
you
the
will.
Chiefs are beatable.
The
Not
biggest
that I should be making any
difference-
predictions, but
The biggest difference in Buffalo right now, and I'm going to give a shout out to my boys over there, but that offensive line has figured it out, and they've mixed and matched, and they brought a guy in who's now sitting at their left tackle, and he has kind of solidified that offensive line. And listen, quarterbacks and running backs, and this is anybody who's a lineman knows exactly what I'm talking about. They love to get all the glory, but you're only as good as your offensive line, because if you're under constant pressure, if they're not opening up holes for you, if they're not giving those holes for Josh Allen to run, that's where a lot of those problems came in the second half of the season. The offensive line was awful for Buffalo. So the way they have really solidified themselves, I walked away really impressed. I mean, they completely neutralized Matthew Judon, who's had a career year this year in sacks and quarterback hits. He didn't come close to touching Josh Allen.
I didn't hear his name once. And this is the tap dancer you're talking about, right? Matthew Judon.
Yes.
He's a great kid. Great dude, actually. Yeah, I didn't hear his name once on the weekend. Okay, so real quick, let's just wrap this up. We got Bills Chiefs this weekend. We got Bengals. So I'm going to take the Bills because I have to. Who do you take, Bills Chiefs?
I'm going to go Kansas City because I have, it's in Arrowhead. It's Kansas City, back-to-back Super Bowls. For me, I'm always, you got to dethrone them before I can take you. So I got to go Kansas City.
How insane will the city of Buffalo be if they walk into Arrowhead and kick Kansas City's ass? By the way,
Holy fuck, Home Depot's going to be out of
nuts.
tables.
Yeah.
They're going to be out of tables and dildos. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had the dildo made an appearance this weekend because New England was in town. Now that was a healthy dildo, by the way. I don't know if anybody saw it. You got Bengals Titans. Who do you take? Who do you got?
I love the Titans. First of all, Mike Vrabel is one of the best coaches in the NFL, and now you've got Derrick Henry back, healthy, fresh, got the extra bye week. AJ Brown is back, healthy. Julio Jones, healthy. That defense is no joke. You got to go with Tennessee in that game.
Okay, we got Arizona, LA tonight. Who wins that game? Arizona. Fucking tough game, man.
That's a tough game. So I got to go with Arizona only because I got to live by my view of I believe Matthew Stafford is the most overrated quarterback in the National Football League. So I'm going to go with Arizona.
And then you got San Francisco, Green Bay, and then we'll get to the Bucs.
That'll be a good game, right? Is that going to be a good game or no?
I don't think so.
The San Francisco Green Bay game?
I don't think so.
It could be a good game in the sense of the San Francisco's defense knows how to play against the Packers and have caused them problems in the past. But I got to go with Green Bay that game. That's I gotta at Lambeau.
What's your dream Final Four here?
Well, I'd love to see a rematch between the Bucs and Green Bay in the NFC Championship game, and I would love for Green Bay to win so I can laugh at every fucking bandwagon who left the Patriots to go cheer for Tommy Blue Eyes down there. And then you know what, Tennessee and either the Chiefs or the Bills is dream for me because those are both gonna be great games. I can't really decide between the
shaping
two.
up to be a good Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This last weekend was kind of a blowout weekend, but whatever. Who do you got in the final, Ray?
I'm gonna go Titans Packers.
Nice.
Wow.
Huh? Wow. Titans Packers, huh?
Titans beat the Chiefs, eh?
I'm going.
Who you got for the win, Ray?
I'm gonna go Titans.
Are you jotting this down? Bonzi got his
I'm a Packers
his gambling elbow is just twitching.
I got it.
Yeah, you got it. All right.
Yeah.
I got Bills Packers, which would be fucking all world, right?
Would
Bills,
be unreal.
Packers, Super Bowl. That's the Super Bowl I want to see.
Let it go.
But it would be. I can't. I got to go Bills Packers.
Possibility.
But I have no doubt in my mind that Mahomes will beat the Bills and the misery will continue. It's kind of fun, right? It's like the Maple Leafs. It's kind of fun watching them lose every year in a new way. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I think it's kind of fun. I think it's hilarious. By the way, did you see the Cowboys fans throwing shit on referees and players at the end of the game? Did you see that?
I want to see that guy shoot his TV again.
The one guy caught the beer or whatever it was at his helmet. Did you see that? That was pretty good.
Yeah, he hit the beer with his helmet. You want to see the guy shoot his TV one more time? There you go.
I told you not to bring the snub nose out.
Okay.
There you go. Get the 38 special and finish it off.
Was there a giggle there? Did I hear somebody laughing with the phone? It's always funny until John brings out the pistol.
Oh, it's so fucked, isn't it?
He must have a nice job. He can afford a nice gun, nice size
Probably
TV,
not, Bonzi. Probably not.
Oh, you can rent to own. You can rent to own anything in the States, Bonzi. Yeah, that was a rent to own, is what that was. Yeah,
yeah. I hit a dog. I want to see him take it back to Best Buy. Though.
Oh yeah, it came like this. It's all busted.
Came out of the box like this.
Did you guys happen to catch Joe Rogan's terrible weekend? Anybody?
I saw a bit of it.
Yeah, a little bit. He did some nice backpedaling or made fun of himself to try and cover his ass.
Oh, did he ever? Rogan had a tough fucking weekend.
Did he own up to the whole
sort of
myocarditis?
Yeah, not the old myocarditis thing.
Yeah.
Well, let me just kind of put it out there. So here's the video. Now, Joe Rogan, everybody, is the world's most famous, highly paid podcaster, right? Comedian, actor, loves eating wild elk and eggs and steam baths and isn't vaccinated, refuses to get vaccinated, all that stuff.
Didn't he get vaccinated at the beginning?
No.
I thought he did.
Apparently not.
Okay.
So just before the weekend, last week, he had a guest on named Josh Zepps. Josh Zepps is an Aussie political satirist. He's a news guy. He's been around. He's been in the States for ABC, Australia. He's just a smart guy. He's got a podcast called Uncomfortable Conversations. So Joe likes him. Joe has him on. Now, Joe found out from Josh in real time that incidence of myocarditis in kids who are vaccinated is actually far less than kids who get COVID. Myocarditis is like 450 per a million to 60 per million.
It's 8 times higher if you have COVID. Your chances to get myocarditis, and that actually is even higher in adults above the age of 21. And I think if you break it down by gender, it's even higher. Men have a much higher likelihood of getting myocarditis if they're between the ages of 21 and 34, something like that. But yes,
under 40, myocarditis is a super problem with COVID and a very, very minor problem with some of these vaccines. Depending on
happening with vaccines, though.
Yeah,
people that are getting the vaccine, there are people that are getting this from the vaccine,
and mostly younger men, right?
Yeah.
So it's significantly more. It's like
24 or something, right? Like is really
18
bad.
Yeah. Really bad in that like younger end demo, 18 to 30, I believe it is. But Joe didn't know that, and people have been trying to tell Joe that, and we all know Joe is a huge purveyor of misinformation, sometimes disinformation. This was the moment, and it was like one of these like moments that people suffer publicly where it could be the fucking end because they built their entire foundation on effectively this bullshit. But watch the actual clip. It's interesting. Watch this.
For young boys in particular, there's an adverse risk associated with the vaccine. It's like a 2 to 4-fold increase in the instances of myocarditis.
Yes, but you know what?
Hospitalization.
You know that there's an increased risk of myocarditis among that age cohort from getting COVID as well, which exceeds the risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true. No. I don't think it's true that there's an increased risk of myocarditis from people catching COVID that are young versus increased risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
No, there is. There's both.
Well, let's look that up because I don't think that's true.
There's
myocarditis more common after COVID-19 infection than vaccination. But is this with children? Yeah, we're talking about young people.
Men and boys aged under 30 after this is what it says here.
With children is the issue.
Well, no, we were talking about 15-year-olds.
Well, we're talking about young children.
Male
child.
yes, 12 to 17.
12 to 17, more likely to develop myocarditis within 3 months of catching COVID at a rate of 450 cases per million infection. This compares to 67 cases of myocarditis per million at the same time following their second dose of Pfizer.
Yeah, so you're about 8 times likelier to get myocarditis from getting COVID than from getting the vaccine.
That's interesting.
Now,
that is not what I've read before, but also it's like, even when we're reading these things, it's like, what are we getting this from? Was this from the VAERS report? But even from the VAERS reports, when they report this stuff, it's like the amount of people that report, it's the underreporting.
Really struggled at the end there, eh, boys?
That's the difference, eh?
No.
That captures the difference between Joe Rogan from 2 years ago and before that, and Joe Rogan now, is that he was never a guy to like be a slave to his narrative. Like countless times back in the day, I can remember him going, "Oh fuck, I was wrong about that," or someone fact checked me because I might be wrong. And now he's just like, my narrative is in danger.
And that's my biggest issue with him now. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to be wrong sometimes. And not doubling down on it and not admitting it and fighting back and pushing back on it seems to be more par for the course with him. Like, I had somebody text me the other day or tweet me. It doesn't matter. 18 different ways of getting a hold of me nowadays. But, and they were talking about Joe Rogan is like, that's where I get my news. And I'm like, I think that's a mistake, man. I don't think that should be your news source. And I think Joe Rogan would admit that. The fact that you think that he is more valuable than any other format is a problem. But that's the world we live in right now. We've created these bubbles and we go to these places and whatever these fucking people say is gospel. And I think it's gotten into his head. I think he wants to be that guy. And in the past, I think he was comfortable being just Joe Rogan, right? Yeah, I don't know what, and we've all had things in our lives with this fucking COVID, this pandemic. It's all shaped us. It's going to shape society for everyone. But I don't know. I don't like this look on him. Like he's lost a sense of humility or something.
Mm-hmm. He lost.
Yeah, because it used to not bother me that he was friends with Alex Jones. You know what I mean? Like I didn't care.
Yes.
You know, and then this, as soon as COVID happened, and it was like his like health regiment kind of like starting point comes into play, and then everything that he has said over the last like year or 8 months, whatever it's been, has been such just that one stubborn side, that rigidness of this sort of anti-vaxxer red meat stuff. And it's like, I just never, like, it's really disappointing. I'm just,
it is.
I'm not going to watch him anymore. He lost the viewer, right? Like,
were you guys Rogan fans before this, before the pandemic? Yeah. You guys were Rogan fans.
Yeah.
Rogan fan. Were you a Rogan fan, Ray?
Yeah, honestly, I'm still a Rogan fan because I think it's all entertainment. It's all entertainment. It's any attention is good attention. He's dying on his hill. I think he's a fucking hypocrite. I'll call myself the idiot of this panel. I always bring back things of sports. I've listened to him for 25 minutes go off how Stephen A. Smith shouldn't talk about mixed martial arts and how it's so, you need to bring on experts to talk about it, and bringing on Stephen A. You're not going to get experts to talk about the sport and it's going to misrepresent the sport. Yet Joe Rogan's going to talk about fucking health advice, right? As if he's a doctor.
Yeah.
But that's the world that's the world we live in today, though. I get it all the time. I get guys in my YouTube channel telling me I'm a fucking moron. I don't know what I'm talking about. And then they'll ask me if I agree with the lockdowns. Like, I'm too stupid in your eyes to talk about football, but you want my advice on a fucking pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the world that we live in. And that's where he is. And that comment was perfect. There's 100 million reasons to die on this hill because you're going to get both. You're going to get people like me who recognize it for entertainment. I still watch Alex Jones. I got after the Sandy Hook stuff, I stopped, but I used to watch his shit because I thought it was funny. I thought it was entertaining. I watched his Endgame documentary and that kind of stuff because it was entertaining to me. I knew most of it was fiction, a little bit of truth sprinkled in, but that's how I took it. My concern is for the people who say I get my news from Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
That's and from a smaller, least important view, that's like people getting their draft advice or their gambling advice from me. Don't go bet on the fucking Titans to win the Super Bowl and then get mad at me.
Did you hear that, Fonzie? Did you hear that? I saw you jotting down Ray's picks. You bring up a really good point. That I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's worth saying out loud. Is my God, I think the problem is we hope when we're creating content that people will be able to decipher what it is that we're doing, what we're trying to do, and for the most part, it is supposed to be entertainment. I always get shocked when people don't get the sarcasm of our show and they take us serious. Like, it scares me a bit. I'm going, holy shit! If they didn't get the sarcasm of that.
But you know what? This is a different time. Like, we're not talking about like you guys, Ray, great points. He talks about having professionals and experts on to talk about MMA, but he cycles himself into his like run of doctor guests all the time, like he's the guy, right? And then he brings on all discredited quacks, and I will give him credit because he had this guy.
He's always done that, though.
And he looked like a fucking idiot. I know, but it's been extra. Like, it's been so extra because he's so attached to that narrative. The whole thing about, elk meat and monoclonal antibodies and kitchen sinks and, just this lifestyle and this idea that nobody else can fucking afford. But he refuses to get the vaccine. And then 11 million people will follow that fucking idiot into a fire. Right? Because they think he's a doctor. But to his credit, he tweeted this out saying, quote, "If anybody was going to make me look dumb on the podcast, I'm glad it's Josh Zepps because I love him and he's awesome. However, this is why I was confused. It's an article that lends itself to the idea that he may be right down the road. You don't need to read it because he admitted here that he's wrong." Saying, quote, "That video is cringy, but it's what happens when you stumble along a form podcast when you didn't know a subject was going to come up and you wing it." So my problem is this, is that sure, great. Yeah, sorry. I'm a fucking idiot. My bad. All that other stuff. My problem is this, is that he does this every time. It's like his get out of jail free card for being a Lugan, right? It's like is like, oh, fuck, sorry, guys. I'm not a doctor. But then he'll die on the hill saying that he is. But
he's done that. He's done exactly what you just said. Like in the last 2 years, like a bunch of times. Before that, he would be like, oh, I got this insignificant fact wrong. My bad. I'm a chimp. But now he's like remember
he'd also say fuck off.
Hold on. The first thing that he apologized for, if you guys remember, was in 2020. And I'm talking about this type of apology, was when he said that like Portland was like on fire or something like that because all these riots and arsons were happening or whatever. And then he had to apologize for that because that was like untrue. And it was like, oh, well, that's a really big fact. That's not like the key ingredient in DMT that you're getting wrong. This is like, social unrest type shit,
Yeah. Those are big things. And to your point, Jamesy, and I'm not a Rogan listener, right? We put that out this weekend, the video. It had like 500,000 views. I got pounded by Americans going, "Fuck you, Rogan's the king, bro." And I'm like, all right, Rogan's
I got a lot of hate mail over the last 2 days too.
Oh, yeah, because you wrote an article on how he killed himself with that fucking piece. And it was a brilliant article. You can go to DeanPlundell.com.
The headline wasn't clickbaity. I just said he died.
Joe Rogan is dead.
Yeah, not clicky at all.
But you know what? I get it. Like, I get why people fucking listen to him, and I had to do some thinking about it this weekend because it was legitimately like an onslaught. When you get tagged in by Christian America on Twitter, and you know this, Ray, because you deal with it all the time, look the fuck out. Like, they're legitimately insane. They don't care about your life. They only care about the things that stand for whatever it is that they think they stand for. And they will threaten to kill you. I got lots of death threats this weekend. Lots of like, if you had Jesus in your heart, you wouldn't be so mean to Joe Rogan. By the way, I hope you die in hell. And you're like, hell doesn't exist. All this stuff. But it's like, it's fucking insane. But Joe Rogan has managed to monopolize the dumbest portion of society, because Joe Rogan is what all of us have been looking for years. An everyman that takes on all the bullshit, big pharma, the government, conspiracy theories. And
that's why I like him.
Well, exactly. And that's why he was so big, is because so many people were like sitting behind their computers going, if only someone had the keys to that magical kingdom to decipher the way the world works for the everyman. Well, Joe Rogan has done a fucking incredible job of that. Like an unbelievable job of that. And if you are a Rogan fan, I don't begrudge you, because you started listening to him and you probably said this a lot when you were listening to these podcasts. You probably went like this, fucking rights. Fucking rights.
No.
Fucking rights, Joe. Fuck yeah.
No, that's the thing, though, right?
No.
And my thing is to listen to Joe Rogan. I think back in the day, he was looking for critical thinkers, because you have to be a critical thinker to listen to Joe Rogan, to be able to decipher through the bullshit and decipher. And the problem is, it's not even the everyman. That he's realized his audience and his stout support group are the groups of idiots, right? That will follow him along and take every word he says as gospel. And it goes down to any conspiracy theories. Like, I don't know if you ever saw his interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson. It's a phenomenal interview. It's a phenomenal podcast. I've listened to it like 20 times more, because I love Tyson. So I think it was for critical thinkers. Unfortunately, now the critical thinkers have stopped listening, and I'm going to call them the sheep on the other side. Are following him around like a shepherd, and I think that's the biggest problem. He's gone from being for the critical thinker to being for the entertainment and the entertainment side of things, and just buying into that fan base he has now.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit more to it as well. I think he saw the other side of his audience, because I think you're right, Ray. I think you can, with any program, you can put people into rooms, right? And subgroups about what they represent and what they're going to find interesting and what they're going to gravitate towards in any program. We probably have, a interesting sort of swath of listeners of the Dean Blundell podcast as well. But I think I think you can add this to the discussion as well. I think he met another side of his audience when he moved to Texas, and being in California, I think he was having certain conversations, hanging out with certain types of individuals. Then he moves his whole operation to Austin, and I think he met another group, and I think he is now adapting. I don't know. I that's not the right word. I think he has shifted his focus a little bit content-wise to that group that lives, in his backyard, the people that he's hanging out with.
I think both of you just nailed it. If you look under the hood of what that actually looks like, what you'll find is that the mega audience, for lack of better description, really like it when non-conservatives or people who don't identify as conservatives criticize moderates and progressives, and they gravitate towards them because they're not like them and they're criticizing the same people that they're criticizing. And then what happens is you'll look at your analytics. I mentioned this in this piece that I wrote for you for the deanblundell.com. And what you'll notice is that your analytics will like shoot up because all of a sudden you're retaining this whole new audience base because they love that. They're doing it to Glenn Greenwald right now. Glenn Greenwald's really popular among the right because he's criticizing the left, even though he himself is a gay man who is very progressive on literally everything. The right love him. And you can either then placate that audience or you don't placate that audience. And the people that placate that audience will retain those new audience members. And the people that don't, or the people that sort of abandon those opinions that fall in line with them or criticisms of the same people, they'll just abandon you. It happened to me actually when I criticized Black Lives Matter once. I got like 1,000 new followers on Twitter from one article. Yeah. And then my next day I wrote for the Huffington Post something like Trump's a rodeo clown or something. And I lost like 800 of them, like immediately. So, yeah.
You know what? I placated those people this weekend as well. I'll show you with some tweets because they were coming fast and furious. Like this person that's like, may the Lord have mercy on your soul. I certainly wouldn't. And I just I tweeted back a gif of Satan slapping that ass. So they got real upset about that. And then this person asked if I got horns because this person's a born again Christian too. So I just tweeted them a gif of Jesus Christ. And then someone else told me I was digging a grave to hell. And I said, meet you there, boss man, with a picture of a child Satan. So I feel like I did a good job pushing them back a little bit
Good
for
work.
Everybody.
Good work, dude.
Can I tell you what's really funny about all these tweets that you get though from the so-called Christians?
Yeah.
Because I have had people question why I'm a part of the Dean Blundell Network. So I'll admit to all of you guys, I am a Christian myself, and I do believe in God. But I read an article where you said Sky Daddy, and I laughed out loud when I read it. Right? it was as a Christian, we're taught not to judge others. Right. And this is why I always call them fake Christians or and
Sunday Christians.
It's not just Sunday Christians. And this, again, if you read the Bible right in it, it says don't pray in public. Right. It's supposed to be done in private. You don't want to show the world that you're part of God. It's also, there's only one true man who judges. So anybody telling you to go to hell is breaking one of the biggest rules of Christianity. So I always laugh when
They'll
this
be
comes
forgiven,
up.
Though.
And occasionally, when I'm in a mood, I will start arguing with them, and they think that I'm an atheist, and then I start quoting the Bible at them. And then it's like when someone's like, well, it's in the Bible that you can't be gay. And I'm like, show me where. Because it's not. It's nowhere. I've spoken to Catholic priests about this who admitted it's not in the Bible. So show me where.
Well, they don't want
to. It's a sin. They're going to hell. I'm like,
James.
I'm like, have you ever jerked off before? Because that's adultery. Well, no, it's not blasphemy, and they're fake. They're fake. And
I got news for you. So are the priests. But go ahead.
But what I'm saying is, when people say to me, Ray, how can you be a part of the Dean Blundell Network when you're I don't go around like this normally just bringing it up, but if somebody asks me, I'll tell you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not ashamed of it, and it's because what you guys do has nothing to do with my morale, like my morals. You know what I mean? Listen, if you were doing some really fucking weird shit that I didn't want to be associated with, then I'd leave, but you're not. You guys are giving opinions. The problem is people hate opinions, right? People hate opinions that don't line up with theirs, and then they'll use God in the Bible as they'll weaponize God, which is, if they're real Christians and read the Bible, that's the last thing he wants you to do. So I find them funny when I read them. It makes me chuckle.
Thanks for that, Ray.
Yeah, appreciate it. No, and listen, I've got family members that are born again Christians, and they are not like this. Like, they're normal. They're normal people that just have a relationship with God.
Actually, your brother was quite pleasant.
Oh yeah,
we enjoyed him. Yeah,
he swears a lot for a reverend. But I get caught up in it because it literally is like, you've got to be embarrassed, Ray, to share a religion with some of these quacks. You've got to be.
Well,
like,
yeah,
I know my family is. My brother's like, fuck, what happened to evangelical Christianity? They just turned us around. Because listen, like a lot of people can say, especially if you're in the Christian faith, that it is highly anti-LGBTQ, born again Christianity, evangelical denominations, depending on the denomination that you belong to. There are denominations that are not. There are union churches that are not. But there are 40,000, literally 45,000, I think, denominations of Christianity. And to a man, almost all of them preach that it is wrong to be gay. Almost all of them. Almost all of them preach that it's a sin to be gay. And that I cannot wrap my head around. That I can't. And the other thing is eternal salvation. The one thing I struggle with growing up in that, and I call it lots of things, but growing up in that faith was, oh, here's the thing, guys. We say a magic prayer. Everybody else goes to hell. We go to heaven. So the goal is, let's try and get as many people converted to our way of life so that they can experience eternal life. And I do not know of a worse thing to fucking do than to monetize the afterlife. I don't know of anything else that makes me fucking crazier, right? Like nothing.
Yeah, no. And I walked away from organized religion. I attend a non-denominational church because of it. I was born a Catholic, baptized a Catholic, went through all my sacraments right up till marriage, and walked away from religion. Just, I know we've never met. He's from the States, but I'm friendly with a gay reverend, and we've had these conversations before, right? And there are denominations out there that are now starting to recognize that there's nowhere in the Bible. A lot of how people interpret the Bible is based on how the Catholic Church interpreted the Bible hundreds and hundreds of years ago, which they used to create laws and create, control of the people. Again, weaponized the Bible, which is when I started recognizing that. It's when I walked away from, and the other things the priest did, but I walked away from Catholics.
You had some issues with that, eh, Ray?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's a little, but I think it's when you're looking at your own spirituality, whether it's you believe in God. I mean, there's spirituality in everybody, whether you believe in God or not. I admittedly have gone through 12 steps, and you're always looking for that higher power, and you're always looking for that next, just that guidance in life. But when you start weaponizing spirituality, it's when it becomes a serious issue. And it was hundreds of years ago, and they're trying to redo it again, which is why the popes are coming out. The Pope is coming out now and basically trying to eradicate everything that they've said in the past. I mean, I think it's okay to have sex before marriage now, which, back in the day, the priest told me my penis was going to fall off if I did that, right? So it's funny how they'll try to adapt with
show
times.
it to him first.
It didn't, eh, Ray? You still got it?
It did, but I lost 1.5 inches, so it was.
That's COVID, buddy. That's COVID.
So anyway, my point is this: is that we get back to the Rogan thing, and I can't. And I know it's evangelical America and the extremists involved in it, and there's a bunch of different things. It comes back to the same thing. It's like he's the Pied Piper of the dumbest people that listen to podcasts in the world. It sure feels like that.
Yeah,
it really does. Like, and I take nothing away from his success. Like, people were like, "You're just jelly." I'm like, I'm not jealous at all. I would not want to be him today. Going, oh, by the way, I look like a fucking huge loser, and I gave back every ounce of credibility in like 5 minutes on my own show last week that it took me 15 years to build. I'm not jealous of that. Am I jealous of his money? A little bit. I'm not jealous of his enormous nipples either. Have you seen those things?
He has weird, oddly
nipples.
Long nipples.
I didn't know he was like 5'3" either, or whatever.
He's tiny.
Like,
he's a little fella.
And Lachlan, you nailed it, by the way, because when he moved, I think it was you. When he moved to Austin, is that you that said that? When he moved to Texas, he sort of changed. I don't know if you guys know, but Alex Jones lives in Austin, Texas. And just before he moved, or maybe it was after he moved to Spotify, but maybe not after he moved to Texas, he had Alex Jones on for like I Forgive You for the Sandy Hook show, and Alex Jones has a massive audience, so maybe it was calculated in that way. Maybe not the move itself, but maybe he retained a whole bunch of Alex Jones's audience because finally someone was like, I forgive you for fucking like making up a story about Sandy Hook, and all of a sudden like that might be good for 1.5 million, 2 million.
Is that where did he make that? Did Alex Jones make that bullshit up on Rogan's show?
He didn't make it up on Rogan's show, but he admitted that he was wrong or whatever the fuck. I don't remember his exact words, but he admitted that Sandy Hook was real for the first time on his show. So Rogan gave him the platform for redemption, basically.
Right.
Well, I think also he lost he lost a really serious court case in that regard, so I think he needed to show some redemption so that he can walk away from any more potential civil suits, is my understanding.
And that's probably true, but he probably retained
Rogan.
That's all I'm saying, is that he probably retained some of that audience, because that's now the audience that seems to embrace him the most.
The crazy ones.
So.
Yeah, I still think he, again, I understand Dean's breakdown on Rogan, and based on Dean's basing his decision on Rogan from the headlines, right? Because you haven't been a real strong listener.
No, but I listened to that whole podcast with Josh Zepps, and I can tell you this: his delivery is I respect the job that
thank you
Joe Rogan does and how he's done it, and I respect how he delivers his podcast. I had never listened to it. You're right. I had just seen headlines and video clips out of context. So to talk about it, I needed to go back and listen to one of his podcasts. And I listened to it. It took forever. It took me like 2 days.
They're too long.
I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I had to talk about it. And it dawned on me yesterday when we were kind of prepping for this thing. I'm like, oh my God, he just represents every single person out there that's so pissed off with the fact that very few people have control over everything, and we just have to take what they say at face value, right?
So everyone,
and that represents.
So he represents everyone.
Yeah,
the entire fucking planet right now.
No, but it's a pretty muddy. No, but the most aggressive versions of that's who love Joe Rogan because they're fucking sick of it. We're all sick of it. I get that. Joe Rogan has legitimately capitalized and monetized on extreme frustration of people who have been mistreated in economies, in health.
Yeah.
We've been lied to. Like, fuck, just one of the great lies ever told. Cannabis is terrible for you. Like, our government held that, put that underneath the rug for, I don't know, 100 years. And now they're like, cannabis is really good for you. As much as you can put in your system. As a matter of fact, here, because we want the tax money from it too, right? Like that kind of person that would be that pissed off about that is represented by people like the Joe Rogans of the world. And fuck, dude, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. How many people, when they get lied to, go, fuck that guy? We've been, as a society, lied to every time we fucking wake up. From the second we wake up to the second we go to bed. Joe Rogan is very popular and will be for a very long time because of that. Stuff like this takes the shine off of Joe Rogan, and I think he could, if it wasn't about a fucking legitimate health crisis across the world, I wouldn't be talking about Joe Rogan today. But I feel like we have to because the guy tells people not to get vaccinated during a fucking global pandemic, which is turning into an endemic and has killed millions of fucking people.
That's why I keep bringing up strategy on his part. And I think no one's going to find out the real numbers, but I think he's lost a good chunk of his numbers from Spotify. And you and I both know how that world works, Dean.
Yeah.
You can be as big as you want to be, but if your audience, and you can get paid for it, if your audience slips even incrementally, you're getting hauled into a fucking back room. And he can go on the air and tell me 100 times, I don't know, Spotify never talks to me. Bullshit.
There was a Netflix.
Shit.
Spotify and Netflix had that in common, right? Like Netflix was getting employees that worked at Netflix were shitting on Dave Chappelle. And at Spotify, the same thing was happening to Joe Rogan, and it was over the same issue, the trans issue or whatever. But that's what happened when he first got there, right? Like,
Alex Jones was part of.
So here's the thing. I don't think he should be canceled. People were saying you just want him canceled. Not at all. I don't want him canceled. The best disinfectant, sunlight, for fuck's sakes. And we got some sunlight on Joe Rogan's bullshit, and the world blew up this weekend because of it, right? Like, that's a good thing.
Strategy. Maybe absolutely. This is a strategy on his part. We've talked about almost every fucking week. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think he does. I think he talks about, I think it's the same thing with a guy like Howard Stern. Howard Stern has dominated the airwaves in the United, and it didn't matter where he went. And he took his audience with him. And he continues to this day, and he's adapted, and he has had to change his show. But he still does things to get people talking about him. And and Joe Rogan's not very different in that regard. He
kind of did the same thing as Stern did too, except Stern went the other way. So if Stern straddled the moderate left and the moderate right, he probably adapted by going a little bit more to the center left. And Joe Rogan did the exact opposite. He went more to the right.
And
so
it's
Joe
kind
Rogan
of funny because
liberal. And
he was.
I still think he is. Honestly, Dean, I think he is. Take his vaccine stance out, and I think it's interesting because I also listen to Bert and Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer, and they're friends. They're close with Rogan, and they were surprised by the backlash. I heard them talking about our podcast within the last year. They're like, I don't get it. Like, Joe's always been like this. Like, when it comes to his health and working out and what he puts in his body, he has always been this guy. This doesn't surprise people close to Joe Rogan at all. What I find interesting is people that don't know him very well have got him firmly planted in the far right. And that is not Joe. Joe is, and James can maybe attest to this because you've listened to him more in the past. I wouldn't say he's full on liberal. He's not woke by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a lot closer to the center than a lot of people put him now.
If you watch, he did an interview with Candace Owens, you know, the conservative black woman who's like really pro-Trump and everything, about climate change. And it was like, you don't believe in man-made climate change? How crazy is that? Don't you believe in science? You know, and so yeah, and he's said it. He has said it many times that he's progressive, literally on everything. Dude, that's why I watched him. I'm progressive on things. I believe in man-made climate change. I'm anti-war. I believe in a societal safety net. You know what I mean? Down the line, I'm left on almost everything. But when it comes to identity politics, I think the left is crazy. And so therefore, it looks like I might align with the right on issues like that, but I don't align with either. And so both sides think they're the other one. And it's just like, holy fuck. Like, you know.
Do you still listen to Rogan? Like, has any of this affected how you feel about the guy? Or do you think this is like entertainment gone wrong at this point? Or do you still like listening to him?
So to be real, I watch the NFL and cover the NFL. And because of that, I have to separate a lot of shitty people from a game, right? When you know, one of my favorite players of all time is Julian Edelman. He got nailed for sexual assault. Ben Roethlisberger, we're all immortalizing him right now as his career is coming to an end. We all remember what happened 10 years ago with Ben. So Ray Rice, all those kind of stories. I have to separate myself from the shittiness of human beings to enjoy the game of football. And I'm able to do that in other sources of entertainment. And I do that with Joe Rogan because I find what he says entertaining. I'm smart enough to decipher what's bullshit, what I should look more into. Mm-hmm. It's no different than when I listen to you guys talk every day. I don't no, what I mean is I don't take everything you
with
say.
Everything I say all the time. And
what I'm saying is though, even when you say, well, here's the facts, even when you have like the stat guy and say, here's the facts, I'm always going to take a second to look at it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to just,
you're smart.
Not going to take what you say. And I think that's my issue. So it hasn't affected me at all. I listen to Rogan. I listen to every show. I'm on one of his audience members, but I understand though why somebody like you who wasn't a listener would be pissed off that he has monetized the pandemic. Right.
But I'm not even, you see, and that's the thing. I'm not even pissed at the guy. Like, I talk about it in terms of like, holy shit, dude. Like,
I think it's a great conversation.
So do I. I've really enjoyed the conversation. Like, to me, I watched Rogan and we put the clip out going, holy fuck, he got unzipped in that podcast live.
To be fair to Dean, if that happened to Dean, it would be a fucking micro content all over social media for a week.
Yeah, I would use it like Rogan did. So two things. Yeah. Rogan looked like an idiot and chose to put out a pre-recorded content piece where he looked legitimately like an idiot. And I give him full marks for that because not many people would. Like if it was me and it was pre-recorded, I'd be like, yeah, take that thing out where Josh Zepps basically unzipped me and showed everybody my guts. Take that right out of the podcast if you can. That'd be great. Thanks. But he didn't. So he stood by it, and then he took heat for it, and he addressed it, right? I appreciate that about Joe Rogan. I don't dislike him and don't listen to him enough to say whether or not I agree with how he carries on, enjoyed his delivery, thought his podcast was actually fairly interesting, even though he got caught. But, like, to me, that was a moment of the pandemic where, like, he was shocked to find out something that everybody had known for a year. And he's supposed to be up on his information, and people are literally – this is my problem with it, taking life and death decisions when it comes to their own health from a guy who got fucking shown on his own podcast and had no idea what the other guy was talking about. And it was legitimately basic health information that everybody knew, and it didn't matter. Like, at the end of that clip, he was like, well, what about the underreporting? And what about this? And I'm like, dude, give up. Like, to me, that was the shocking part of this. It had nothing to do with the fact I hated him or not, Ray.
But can you blame Joe Rogan for people being stupid? Right? Like,
that's a good question.
No. I'll take it back to a really non-important thing, but it's just something that just happened 2 weeks ago to me. It had to do with this show. Lachlan didn't know who I was. Right? Ryan called out guys who has straight brim hats. You called out guys who drink iced coffee in January, and then showed me on a Monday, right?
Yeah. Sorry, dude.
No. But what I'm saying is, I milked.
I was nice.
Shit. But I milked the shit out of that. You know what I mean? Like that was a part of my podcast. It was my micro content. Like I took every ounce of juice out of that until I got a comment on the Monday when people started going, "Who the fuck is this Dean guy? Fuck Dean and fuck this." And I realized people were no longer seeing the joke.
They didn't. You know what I mean? Humor of it. It's terrifying. It is.
And I had to take it back. And if you go back, in my podcast on that Monday, I go, no. Dean's a great guy. Don't worry about it. I'm just fucking around.
Dialing it back.
I think But if people are upset with you, is it my fault for milking it, or is it their fault for being stupid? You know what I mean? And that's
your fault for playing them. I know what you were doing, right? You're like, oh, no one remember. I know. Ray's getting into it. I love it.
I did a break on my show not long ago where I told people they didn't need to get vaccinated as long as they did a couple of things. And I told them that they had to boil garlic and Epsom salts in a big pot and put a towel over their heads, rub some Vicks vapor rub on your chest, do that a couple of times a day. And I said, for added benefit, take a little sesame seed oil and put it on the backs of your knees. And I thought it was funny.
People did it.
People were not happy with me. I was getting it from both sides.
Snort a few lines of turmeric.
And then I'm like, what was the problem? Was it the sesame seed oil? Did I go too far with the behind the knees? Because that might work. You should try it. Dude, you can't fucking win anymore. It's terrifying when people don't see the humor of what you're doing, right? Yeah.
Dude, that's all I see now. Like, it's here this weekend, we had these maskless protests, and I didn't even know about them until today, which is awesome because before I was like, can't believe these fucking people are doing this. But to your point, everything's a joke to me now. Like, I think these guys are so fucked in the head. I find it humorous. Like these guys that tried to buy beers maskless at the LCBO here in Ontario the other day. Well, watch how sure they are that they're right and they're allowed to buy beers maskless during a pandemic. It fucking made me laugh my ass off to the point where I was like, I hope this never ends. Like, I hope these guys stick around for fucking ever because it's just too good. Like, you can't find two bigger idiots trying to do something so simple, so easy, and you find it here every weekend in the city of Toronto. Watch us.
I'm not serving anyone here.
Why is that?
Because you're not wearing a mask.
We have an exemption here.
It doesn't matter. You have to wear a mask.
It's okay, but can I just get these done?
No, I'm not serving
I'll be out of here
anyone.
soon.
No, guys, no. You gotta be wearing a mask, all of you.
Dude, why?
No, you gotta be wearing a mask. I don't care about your medical exemption.
Why don't
you gotta wear a mask. All of you have to be wearing a mask. I'm wearing a mask right now. This is embarrassing. You gotta be wearing a mask.
Why would you not?
Embarrassing? Didn't you live your whole life with no mask? Not embarrassing.
There's a pandemic going on. You gotta be wearing a mask.
Brother.
Where's the pandemic? I didn't know there was a pandemic.
You gotta be wearing a mask, all of you.
You know, boss, can I ask you something, bro?
Wait.
Calm down. I'll leave, okay? I want to ask you. I want to talk to you for a second, right?
So I'm just here to pay for this?
Dude, you gotta be wearing a mask, all of you.
Sorry? Dude, I got a medical exemption.
Everyone's got a medical exemption.
Yeah.
Every single one of you has got a medical exemption.
Yeah.
Why are you doing a face visor?
You got one?
Yes, you got several of them.
Yeah, give me one.
On your door right here, it says...
Wear your mask and nose. You gotta read what it says.
There's a bylaw though. It's on your door.
It's right on your door. Read it. Read it, man.
Read it for you? Dude, look, dude to dude, you don't want more restrictions in your country. Don't you want Canada to go back to, you know I'm making sense. You know, deep down you can lie to me, you can't lie to yourself. I come from Iran, baby, where if you do this, you get lashed.
We're under a pandemic.
You get lashed. You can't. Those guys are just trying to buy. Well, by the way, those Fax beers, 10%, $1 each. The only thing cheaper is mouthwash, but whatever. Probably would have been easier to go to the Dollar Am and get a whole bunch of scope and just go to the park and get fucking lights out. But like that made me laugh so hard this morning because these guys were like so sure. Like they're like, don't you know what we're doing?
There's the bylaw.
You've went your whole life without a mask, and now you're telling us to put one on. And the guy's like, go fuck yourself. I don't have to sell you shit. And as you know, these guys are such quality individuals. They go in and buy the one beer or the 3 beers, just enough to put in each other's pockets so they can walk around and just fucking drink in public. That's really what that was all about. Like, that's what we're dealing with.
Let's not
here.
judge too harshly here.
Well, the problem is it's entertaining to watch in a sense, in a weird car accident way. But also the guy that worked at the store was actually in the wrong, because the irony is that if you don't, what they tell you in most retail stores is that if that happens, get them in and out as quickly as possible. Because the more you argue with them, the greater chance of their spittle drifting around in the air and this airborne illness infects another person. So that it's funny.
Just out of the entertainment portion of that, right, Jamesy?
Sure, that was great. Yeah.
No, no, but like if I'm that dude and those yokels come in and they're like, okay, here to buy a beer without a mask, I'd be like, sorry. And even if my boss is like, hurry up, just sell it to him, get him out, I'm like, I don't think so. I'm gonna have fun with this one. And I would wait there and make his life as fucking miserable as humanly possible, like that guy did, because it's fun to do.
Yeah.
He had the glass protection. He was fine.
Yeah, the LCBO, the LCBO. I don't know if it's like this in all the cities. Well, actually, I do know. Actually, I talked to the lady the last time I was there. Like a month ago, I bought a 6-pack of Corona, and I talked to the lady, and I was like, "Yeah, so what do you do with the masked people?" And she said the same thing. But they also have a policy of they've had this for years. If a bunch of masked young people walk in with hockey bags and start filling up their bags and walk out, their job is to do nothing. Their job is to wait until they leave, not even say anything to them, and then call the police. So I'm pretty sure that person probably got in trouble for engaging with people without masks on, because scientifically you're increasing the possibility of infection. So it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to look at, because the person in the right is actually making the situation more dangerous. Right.
Yeah. I kind of agree a little bit with James. I mean, I hate the fact that we're at that point where they get away with it, because I do. It happens occasionally, James. Things are moving. Things are progressing. Things are progressing nicely with you and I and our rebuild of our relationship.
I'm sorry to interrupt your praise of my point. Please go on.
But I'm sort of at a point now where I'm hoping that we can find something, and fuck, I don't know what it is. Something to bridge. Have you guys seen Don't Look Up?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's brilliant.
It's brilliant. And you hate that movie? Okay, here's what I took away at the end of it. And
I was going to write a review for the site. Go ahead.
You should. I'd love to get your opinion.
I could tell you in 3 sentences when you're done your point why I didn't like it, but go ahead, please. I get the message. It was great, but go ahead.
So the metaphor is obviously it's what we're going through, and the fact that we can't see eye to eye on anything. So it works well. I think it's initially Adam McKay's idea was that it was going to be a metaphor specifically for climate change, but it ends up being a real strong metaphor for the pandemic and what we're going through. And I think it's a must-watch movie, regardless of what James is about to say. You need to watch this movie. But at the end of it, I remember having a very clear moment where I was like, hold on. He's making fun of everybody. No one gets off the hook in this movie. Like in The Big Short, there was one person that, like, there was one sort of entity that he was going after, and he was making a point about the, the loans and everything like that. In this movie, it's like, no, we're all fucked. And if we don't figure this out, the fucking planet is going to blow up. That's what I walked away with. And that's the thing that I'm struggling with right now is, okay, what is the point of me yelling at the woman with no mask on at the food court in the mall? Like, what am I accomplishing, and how are we progressing this? Are we moving it along? Do I get any, like, does she change her mind? No, she's there to she's wanting it. She's looking for it. That's the other thing that I've also come to realize. When we had somebody on last week that was all up in arms about vaccines in our comment section, and it was somebody from my friends group, and I recognized him immediately, and I went, that makes sense. Based on what I know of this individual and what he has posted in the past, he's always looking for attention. This is just another form of it. This is a narcissistic approach to people.
Don't feed them.
Yes, they are looking for it, James. Exactly. Yeah. And they don't.
I have a guy in my door that I have to sign for a pack. I have a guy in my door that I have to sign a package for. But before I do, I didn't even know it was a slapstick comedy until Jonah Hill was in. I was all in on this quirky kind of drama. I was like, oh, this is going to be. And then all of a sudden, Meryl Streep and Jonah Hill come in and just piss all over my dreams for that movie, even though the message was really good. I have to sign for a package. 1 second.
All right, go sign for a package. I loved it. Have you seen it, Ray? Have you seen Don't Look Up? Have you seen it, Bonds?
Yeah, I loved it.
I saw about 15 minutes of it, but I got the general message of what it was talking about.
Yeah, you only need.
I like guys like Ray that can walk away from something that's pretty decent. Just space. I got it. All right.
Fuck.
Yeah, there's a game on.
He's busy. He's got a job. He's got 2
there's
jobs.
A game on.
Yeah, he works with people, and he actually is a tremendous NFL writer, talker, podcaster, blogger. So I get it. But if you see this, Don't Look Up, it is the allegory wasn't lost. I mean, it is fucking unbelievable the way that they used this comet for to get more subscribers on YouTube, the way they used it to
Brilliant.
get, and it was
really
like,
was.
you can kind of compare it to your point, the ultra-vaxxers and the anti-vaxxers, right? It was like the people who really wanted to get famous off of telling everybody that this comet was going to destroy the world, and then other people that wanted to get famous and get clout telling everybody it's no big deal. It was fucking amazing, like the straight lines you could draw to the world that we live in today. And then you watch everybody at the end go, we're fucked, whatever. Like, that's kind of how we've had to live, right? Like, the centerpiece of this whole thing has been people like Bonzi, or people like Ray, or people like Locke, or people like James, all walks of life. We can sit and battle it out over, the way that things are going. But generally speaking, we all come around to this personal responsibility bit where we go, oh, you mean if I get vaccinated, I'll stand a better chance of living? Great, I'll get vaccinated. Oh, by the way, I'm doing that for my friends. Absolutely. Let's figure that out. All of our efforts go into the same basket. And that's why those are the people that I really don't respect, right? It's on both sides of this ledger. It's like anybody that's using the ultra-vax or the anti-vax as a way to, virtue signal and make themselves part of the primetime conversation are the fucking worst of the worst. Like, just human fucking garbage. And I felt that way for years.
Part of my struggle, too, over this whole thing has been, like, what is my role in this? What kind of an impact am I having? Right. So I've been thinking about that. And so, yeah. So that's why I wonder about what I'm thinking now about their motivation. Why is she not wearing that mask? As opposed to going up to her and going, why the fuck are you doing? Like, what's wrong with you, woman? Like, what are you doing? Like, why? You're in the fucking mall? Like, do you want someone like me to come up and call you a bitch for not wearing a mask? Like, what's wrong with you?
But this has been happening since 2020.
That's not going to work.
And we were all sort of against it. Remember, Dean, I remember you talking about walking through the grocery store and just not even wanting to be a part of it. Don't wear a mask, fine, whatever. Just get away and I'll just do my shopping and leave.
Yep.
Like, you don't want to engage with them. Like, that's feeding them their red meat. That's what they want. Like,
they love it. That's exactly what they're fucking looking.
Exactly.
A friend of mine has a retail store in town that I work at once a week. And it's like a really neat kind of hippie store or whatever.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a hippie store. They sell like everything from teak furniture to fucking pipes and everything in between or whatever, but it's dope. But anyways, I have seen like hundreds of anti-maskers in the last 2 years. And there's 2 kinds. There's the kind that walks in with the shit-eating grin.
Yeah.
That wants to engage with you in some sort of political debate about 5G and Bill Gates and George Soros and all that shit. And then the other kind that doesn't wear the mask oftentimes walks up to me and is like, I'm just here to buy a couple cards. Do you want me to pay? Do you want me to leave your card? And you can tap me out. Here's the cards because I don't want to cause any trouble. They're the ones with the actual medical exemptions. The ones that have the shit-eating grins don't have medical exemptions, which I don't even think apply anymore.
No, they're just there to be assholes.
Yeah. Exactly.
The ones that have the pandemic, they'd be an asshole about something else, right?
Exactly.
How do you get a medical exemption to not wear a mask?
You used to be able to have a religious exemption until like 2 months ago, where you could walk in and be like, "It's against my religion," and they weren't able to do anything.
It's like people with severe asthma are wearing masks.
That goes from like I live in Renfrew County, okay, and that's like I think it's a county by county basis or municipality, whatever you want to call it. And in ours, it was like the last exemption point was religious exemption. And if someone said it's my God, it's my beliefs, then you had to let them go until like 2 months ago.
Well, right? if you read Matthew 3:4, it says, "Thou shalt not wear a mask during a pandemic. I don't even understand where the exemption comes from. There's nothing like I don't even know where it comes. But
I fucking love you, Ray. I know
Ray's
we're
the
just
best.
getting to know each other.
You should have
but-
seen the looks on all our faces. Holy fuck, he's quote the
Yeah,
Bible
we were
on
like,
Gene Show. And
be
we're
polite.
like, oh fuck, and then
Everyone should just be
drops
polite. He's going to quote Matthew.
But, you know what? Though? I feel what a lot of you are saying, and I go through this a lot because what I discovered, especially during the pandemic, is I actually have a lot of first responders who listen to my podcast or watch me on YouTube, and we talked about the pandemic a lot, especially when the NBA shut down and all that was happening in 2020. And a lot of the comments we were getting is like, dude, I work in a hospital, or I'm an ambulance driver, I'm a cop, I'm a firefighter. I got to deal with this shit every day. I come here to hear you talk about football and joke. I mean, we talk about football, but if you watch my stuff, we always say we're comedians who happen to talk about football. We just like to have fun. So we really stayed away from talking about any of the, but I also look at that and say, I have a platform. So sometimes I have to say something out loud. But where I struggle with, and it's not like we're talking right now specifically about these anti-vax or anti-maskers, whatever, but take the whole Antonio Brown situation. I work with people with mental health issues in my regular life. That's my job. I covered Antonio Brown for 3 days. I joked about Antonio Brown. I laughed at Antonio Brown. I talked about him having sex with the toilet liquor. Like I went through that whole gauntlet of things. And then I have sat back and thought, how the fuck do you go work with clients all day, talk about their mental health, how they get through their mental health, and then you turn around at night and make jokes about Antonio Brown? And I just think
clearly struggling.
Yeah, clearly. And we talk about it at work all the time. We use them as a case study. Like we talk about this kind of stuff. So it's a difficult balance. And you know, and sometimes I sit there and go like, I'm making money off of somebody's mental health issues right now. Right. I mean, is it?
I don't know if you are. I think you're making money off of the ancillary stuff on the outside, but I get it. Like, I mean, there's certain things when I see someone who really struggles with alcohol, and you've been 12-step, I've been 12-step as well, Ray. When I see someone who really struggles with addiction, who's in the game or whatever, I don't go after them. I always have a bit of a soft touch with those people because I happen to know where that comes from, as do you, right? So but on the same token, I mean, some stuff's just so fucking crazy. Like if we take that tact into this conversation, Ray's tact, we take that into this conversation, we're not having any fun. All we're doing, like literally every single show.
But I like
us
the
going,
fact.
Sorry about the dumb mentally ill people who won't get vaccinated. We can't talk about it because it's mental illness.
But I do like the fact that Ray is self-aware enough to walk away from that podcast and go, "What did I do there?" And you know what? Have a little bit of self-talk and reevaluate where you're at. You know, and that's what I think we need to do more of as a society as a whole.
The comedian rule is in effect, though. So comedians, they don't, they're not the exception to the rule. They're the rule that we all get a pass for. So if you make a joke, it's important not to confuse the subject of the joke with the target of the joke. You know what I mean? Like you're not you're not making fun of whatever Brown happens to be. I don't know if that's bipolar or depressed. You're just making fun of him. And if he happens to be that, then that's fine. Like there's no malice, right? It's not like you're cackling about his mental health. So I think it's important to give yourself a pass as much as it is to take inventory. All I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. So Ray, don't worry about it. I think that's what we're saying.
I just think when you have a platform, you have to be self-aware of what you're. And I do it all the time. I drop a word. I'm trying hard, but I'll say like retard. It comes out of my mouth all the time. And I work with people with disabilities, and I know how that affects them. And then I'll say it. I'll sit there and go like, "Oh, Ray, why is he doing that? Because he's retarded." Then I'll go, "Oh, fuck," you know, and I'll mute myself and just wave, and they know that I'm chastising myself, and they need to take over for 2 minutes as I just bang my head off the table. So it's. You just have to be self-aware and you fuck up and move on, but also understand, like, again, on our show, because we talk about football, we don't address the pandemic at all, only because first responders have been like, hey, I got other avenues for that. Shut the fuck up and just make me laugh and talk about Antonio Brown or whatever.
Yeah, you're an escape, right? Yeah, that's the thing is we can't get away from it, obviously, I think, because people come to us for that information because we legitimately will put experts on and we'll take their opinion, board-certified physicians, infectious disease experts, biostatisticians, stuff like that, because I think we've got a responsibility here, but, doing that is different, right? And that's why the whole Rogan thing bothered me. Speaking of responsibility.
From Alberta.
That's true. Did you see? I just got these sent to me.
Stoners
this might
from
come as a
Killaloo.
shock to you. Stoners from Killaloo, stoners and alcoholics from all over
What
the
up,
place.
man?
We're the home.
Killaloo.
Did you? So you know how Fordsy went out and was shoveling snow all morning, and everybody's like, "Look at how great of a guy he is." And I'm like, "No. They put this on. They put it on." How many people do you know take their comms director with them into the snow? That's Ivana Yelich. She's his comms director. There she is next to him shoveling some snow there.
Might be her idea.
She looks like the Mona Lisa, but like someone spilled something on it, you know? Look at her. Go back to the previous one. I'm telling you.
Boots aren't done up, by the way. Notice that?
Hey, you spilled your coffee on the Mona Lisa. No one's going to notice. Don't worry. It's gonna be fun.
His boots aren't done up. He's too fucking fat to bend over and tie him
You know
up.
what? Bonzi, good catch. Good catch. I love the lack of a toque, too. Yeah.
Well,
He's got a
don't
good
want to mess
cloth.
there.
No.
Was I right? Like, this thing was a fucking put on. Who takes their communications media director with them on an impromptu morning Mr. Snowplow?
Justin Trudeau.
Who the fuck does that?
This
You know
is
what this
Justin
actually
Trudeau
reminds me
This is
of?
Justin Trudeau in with a teddy bear. This is Justin Trudeau with sandbags. It's
That's
like,
true. What's that, Ray? What were you saying?
This reminds me of Jay Leno when he was taking the Tonight Show back from Conan, when he had a camera crew following him around as he'd go like help old people change a tire on the side of the road. And he was trying to do all this PR shit. This is what this reminds me of. Like, and then you'd see his car. They'd have like a shot of Leno's car, and there'd be like 5 people in the car with him, and then a camera crew as he, was just doing normal things in life.
Oh, dude, he had a car full of people. He Doug Ford went out. This was by design. I talked to someone in his administration today. I'm like, "What is this?" He's like, "It's exactly what you think it is." But I go, "What do you mean?" He's like, "They cooked this up late yesterday afternoon because they knew a storm was coming, and they wanted to redo that moment early in the pandemic when he was running around picking up masks for people at dentist offices. Like, that's what he says. That was legitimately the model they tried to use, and they took Ivana Yelich, his press director, out with them, who's banging the guy from The Sun, by the way, Brian Lilly.
That seems like a conflict of interest. No,
imagine pitching this. Okay, you remember how Mallory Lastman brought out the army? Well, how about this? And you're an army of one.
Yeah,
an army of one, Doug.
Only there will be 12 of us behind you in a convoy of cars, making sure that you do this.
You only have to put your boots on when you get out of the SUV for a second. That's it. No hat. Don't worry. It's going to be great.
I'm telling you right now, all this does is to strengthen my position about what politicians need to do moving forward. You can't do anything right. Just be honest with us.
Well, dude,
just
if you are on the local news going, here I am running around the city of Toronto, digging people out of the snow, and I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart because today I'm not a premier, I'm just an Ontarian. And then the next picture is his comms team, a couple of people with cameras, someone from accounting.
Trying to figure out which side of the rope to tie to the car. Turning it up, flipping it up.
This is like truck drivers. This is the winterized version of like when he's normally like the fat Jimmy Conway, from Goodfellas, stuffing 20s in like potential voters' pockets, which is what he does at Ford Fest. This is just the winter version of that.
That's awesome.
Ray just looked into his coffee cup and realized there's no coffee. And the look of disappointment in his face was
you notice
just
Ray went
palatable.
With the French press and drank literally 2 straight liters of it while we were talking.
Well, I tell everybody all the time, it's going to be 16 years in April that I've kicked drugs, but I've replaced my addiction to drugs with caffeine because I just serve
so good,
probably a little better.
Yeah,
I am on board.
Except I'm tweeting about it at 2 a.m. I don't know why I can't sleep. I only drank 3 cups of coffee today.
The French press, fucking gold.
I'll do a 2-hour show at 7 till 9 tonight. I'll drink an entire 12-cup carafe of coffee throughout and I'll finish at 9 o'clock again. And then at 12 o'clock, I'll be pacing my house. I don't know why I can't sleep at night.
Slow down on 2 straight liters of French press at 7 o'clock at night. That's like fucking rocket fuel, man.
It's hard coffee too. That gets you. Yeah. You grind your own beans and everything, Ray?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same with the old French press. Yeah. I've never had a drip. I've never owned a drip coffee maker. Not my entire life.
Correct. The way to go.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Boom. Done. Gone.
Ray, killing the environment.
Talking Football. No, I use compostable pods. Talking Football with Ray is where you can get his podcast. YouTube is where you can find Ray. Thanks for coming, Ray. Really appreciate you spending some time with us today on Monday. You were fucking awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. When we
told you had to carry the fucking
stuff,
show, and you fucking followed through, buddy.
You nailed it. Yeah. You nailed it.
That's right.
Talk to you soon, Ray. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
See you, Ray.
There's Ray, DPN_Ray on Twitter. He's a fucking great guy.
I like
Talking
Ray.
Football with Ray. It's literally Talking Football with Ray.
The right kind of Christian, I may add.
Yeah.
Right? Because my aunt and uncle are Christians, and I love them to death, and they're like him, where it's just like, he doesn't wear any crazy. Like, he totally gets it.
Well, and you know what? He didn't need to share that with us either, right? But it was very, 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 very strong message that he sent. Walking away, he does what he does because of the belief structure he has, not because of a church or a building or any institution. And I've said this before, and I'll repeat it. I'm not a big fan of religion, but I always struggle with these conversations because I think faith is important. I think people need to have something to believe in, and I don't care what it is.
It reminded me of I don't know if you guys watched it or not, but the Afterlife 3, the Ricky Gervais series that wrapped up.
Don't ruin anything for me. I just started it.
Well, he's an atheist in real life, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so the show is basically, it's like, oh, Ricky Gervais, and then it's just him.
Yeah.
But there's just one point, I will not spoil it, I'll be very vague, where he allows himself to not spoil somebody else's moment by saying he's an atheist. And it's really powerful. So it doesn't spoil any plot line or nothing like that. But like like a lady one time, when I lived in Toronto last in the beaches, there was an Irish lady that lived beside me, and she was like 1,000 years old. And she came out once, and she was like, and she came up, she was crying. I used to see her every day when I walked the dog, and she was like, James. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, can you do me a favor? And she held my face with her little old lady hands and was like, can you say a prayer for my sister? She just died. And I was like, yeah, of course. I did walk away, and I felt guilty in a sense. So I did go, dear Jesus, can you do something about Miss McKay's sister? Amen. I had to, because otherwise I felt guilty. And it was just like, so you kind of fake it to yourself even, but I'm an atheist, not an asshole. I am an asshole, but not in those situations, right? Like
that's not about religion at that point. That's about being a good human being.
Humanity,
exactly.
Totally, 100%.
Yeah, it's about humanity.
Exactly. And this is my problem with those Christians, right? And we talked about it before. The ones that are going, fuck everybody else. It's all about going to heaven. It's all I care about. That's not what a good person does or says, like, ever. Like,
how do you know the gates of heaven don't have a sign on top of that says fuck everybody else? Oh, I'm here. I'm in heaven. All right. That's great.
Yeah. That's my problem with it. All right. That's my entire problem with it, is like, it's so exclusionary. And but guys like Ray are fucking, they live that lifestyle, and I appreciate it. My folks are the same way. My brother's the same way. And I appreciate that about them.
Meeting guys like that gives me some hope, right? Like meeting a guy like Ray, because I have done this, and I think a lot of people have done this, and it's been a rough couple of years for religion in the pandemic. I've had them all in one fucking canoe, right? And we tend to generalize like that, and we're all guilty of it at times. And being able to step.
The guiltiest guy of all time.
He'll have the biggest shit-eating grin right after he says it too.
Yeah, I know, my boss.
But you're right. No, you're Lachlan. You're right though, and it's important. I think that we're like that. We always remember that if you criticize religion, you're not criticizing the guy that believes in that religion. You're criticizing an idea. The idea does not have to be like part of the DNA of the guy. Right. So it's like disagreeing with the fact that Don't Look Up was kind of a 2-star movie. Right. Like it's
4.5.
That's an opinion.
I loved
4.5.
I thought it was really good, man. I thought it was brilliant.
I was hoping that the characters were just kind of quirky and it stayed a little bit dark. It could have still had the message, but then all of a sudden Meryl Streep. I don't know, man. I just did. And then why does he kiss him? Yeah, go ahead.
Did you watch after the credits when they landed on the planet?
No,
and they all came out
I didn't
naked?
know it was a Marvel movie until
that might save you. It might save it. Go back, zip right to the end past the credits. And Meryl Streep has a no, I'm not going to say it.
Don't say anything. There's an incident with Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
Did she have sex with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Can you hold on? Earmuffs. I don't want you to hear this part because I think that this was brilliant. Take your yes.
You know you're going to spoil it for people. There's a ton of people watching.
No. I'm not spoiling it. I
don't care if I get spoiled. I honestly just spoil it.
Okay. I really don't. When she walked up to the thing to encounter the animal that ate her,
yeah.
Did you notice she had a tramp stamp?
Yeah, right above her ass crack. Yeah.
Did it say anything?
No,
it was just like a butterfly
goes across the ass. Yeah.
To me, that made the whole movie. I was like, that fucking, because I was feeling a little down at the end of it, and then when I saw that Meryl Streep, the leader of the free world, had a tramp stamp, I just about shit my pants.
I just
there
wish
was
that
so
I
many
knew
little
it was
moments like that.
Did you guys know it was going to be slapstick? Did you guys know it was going to be slapstick before Jonah Hill and Meryl Streep were in the movie?
Totally.
I read something about it that it was a very lighthearted look at a serious topic, climate change, and then
maybe that's what it was. I felt it didn't have an identity. I was like, where did this sharp turn to slapstick come from? What the fuck is going on? Like, I was totally caught off guard, but not in a good way. You know, like
that was like that show that show with Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell that they put out about the psychiatrist that just sucked ass. I'm like, when is this going to get funny? I was like 3 episodes in. I'm like, this is serious?
I've been warned.
I've been waiting for it to be funny for fucking 3 episodes, and it wasn't funny.
Have you seen Afterlife, Dean?
I'm gonna watch it tonight. I'm really excited because I don't know if you guys know this. James wrote a fucking amazing piece on Afterlife 3.
I gotta go read that. I've been waiting to read it because I don't want to lose. I want to watch it before I read your review.
Do you know who read it before you? Even though he lives in London, England, Ricky Gervais, because he retweeted and he's like, "Love this."
I saw that. Seriously. I saw that's fucking. That must have given you a bit of a boner. Did you get?
What was weird about that is that it was like, because he's my favorite entertainer. Period. Right? Like he has been for years because he's so versatile. He became a comedian at like 34. He's a good writer. He made The Office. He made Derek. He made Afterlife. He's the best Golden Globes fucking host ever, easily. And I don't, you know what? It's weird because Dean, your voice ended up coming to my head and was like, "Get on with it, you fuck," in a way. Because I was like, for like 3 or 4 hours, I was like basking in this glow that my favorite entertainer read something that I wrote and loved it according to him. And then I was like, if you bask in this shit for any longer, you're going to be this person that can't get out of the fucking comfort zone. So you need to just get on with it.
Yeah.
And it put me in a bad mood, but then I wrote like 4,000 words for my book. So it was the right call. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to be when like your favorite entertainer is like dope. And I was like, okay, sure. Yeah. Thank you. I got to get back to work.
I would have been.
His article comes out.
Roof.
Dude, James's article on Ricky Gervais and Afterlife 3 comes out. I'm like, I read it. And I'm like, fuck, I didn't even know it was out yet. That's awesome. And James's write-up on it was great. It's why cunts love Ricky Gervais comedy. It's like therapy for cunts. And Gervais liked it. And I look at a tweet pops up, and I follow very few people. He's one of them. Like, I get a notification. It's like, Ricky Gervais liked something that you guys did. And I'm like, holy fuck, this is incredible.
That's huge.
And then everybody starts piling on. Like, everybody's like, way to go, James, and stuff. And then James tweets, on to the next. And I'm like, that's my guy.
That's your voice.
That's my guy. On to the next.
Because David Jacobs is like, James really needed this. And I was like, wait a second. I didn't need this. It was great to have. Now let's get on with it. That was actually probably just as inspirational. Well, it was just kind of offensive. It was like am I this writer toiling under a bridge? I really need this. I fucking need this. Like,
sometimes you come off a little like that, James.
Yeah, well, easy there, Sasquatch. You throw midgets for a living. So fucking
Bonds,
not be too unkind.
and how are you feeling,
stopped
Bonds?
throwing them. We stopped throwing them.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks. I'm feeling a lot better. It was a rough 4 days locked in bed, and but I'm over it now and feeling a lot better. Thanks.
How you feeling about your one-shot J&J?
Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I got through it. I didn't die. I didn't really have any breathing problems except for like 5 minutes, and then other than that, it's fine.
5 minutes.
That's how long it took for the guy to come. Sorry.
Did you worst illness you've had? COVID? Is it the worst flu you've had?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that one. Well, see, I had something very similar back in 2020, at around the same time, kind of early January, and then I went back to Nicaragua and was pretty sick there for a little while. Still, a cough that wouldn't go away.
You had, COVID,
but yeah, it was
so
right.
You've had it twice.
Yeah, I probably have had it twice, I'm going to say. But listen, we still are not 100% confirmed. This one was COVID. I did test negative on the Tuesday night. Wednesday till today or yesterday, I spent in bed. So, yeah, but I feel 80% better today than I was feeling. That's for sure.
How about your mom?
Did you make anybody else sick?
No, my mom got sick for sure. And she was pretty down and out. And she was a little sicker than we kind of bounced back and forth. The first 2 days hit me hard, and then the second 2 days hit her hard. But she's doing a lot better now today too, and she's up and about and back to old Sarge itself. So we're happy to report that she's good.
Good.
And the ringing in the ears, how long do you think that'll last?
There's no ringing. It's just like a pain I'm still a little stuffed up, as you can probably hear. That's all that is. But I'd like to. I'm not bragging or anything, but 16 days sober now, so that's we're doing pretty good
brag.
on that aspect. Yeah,
we're kind of Bonzi and I are competing here. I'm trying to do yoga every day for the entire year, and Bonzi's going to try to. I saw
your picture
sober.
today, like that whole standing on your hands with your legs in a weird position.
Crow.
Thing, huh? Well done. I was kind of surprised that you can pull that off. Like, I'm not saying that I think you're anything, but you're kind of lumbering,
When you're 240 pounds, if you're doing any sort of like arm balances, there's a lot more pressure on the joints than say the 110 pound yoga instructor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look good with your. I'll tell you this. I saw a couple pictures of you doing yoga. I'm like, he looks probably better than me naked.
He posts one every single day. How can you
every day, Bonzi? I'm doing it.
I
want it. I'm using it as motivation to myself. I'm not one of these. I'm not a big fucking sharer of this kind of shit.
Sure? Are you sure you're not just showing people your hot 52-year-old body? Yoga
yes, dude.
I make us look like assholes?
I'm not that guy. I am not that guy, but
He's trying to pick up girls in the comments now.
Probably, yeah, like Bonds.
Oh, the Bonds.
Totally. He's fucking learning. Yeah. Now he's doing yoga every day, trying to get fit. I'll get in on the comment girls too, bud.
I wouldn't have any success. I'm not charming, Bonzi. You need to be charming to wheel the girls in the comment section.
All right. Well, listen, let's wrap it up. It's like, I think we're good. We've gone for almost 2 hours. Bonds, you're back tomorrow?
Sure.
Yeah.
Love to.
Because I felt like we didn't get enough of the Bonds today. It was Bonds light, and we got to go over the litany of different issues you now have because you only got the J&J vax. Like, I know Locke really wants to go over it. Didn't get a chance to do it today, so we'll do it tomorrow if that's okay with you.
For sure. I would love to.
Yeah, keep an eye on your penis. There's a lot of like shit going on with COVID in your dick. I don't know, like ED, shortening, like all sorts of stuff.
I'll check it out after the show. I'm due for a good
use
tug.
shortening. Use lotion.
I've been 4 days without tugging it. I'm
you got
due.
ED. You got okay. Well, add that to the list. ED.
I don't
wants to jerk off when you're really sick. That's like just blowing your nose, but down there. It doesn't even.
But I'm ready now. I got one raring to go.
I have never been sick to the point where I'm not whacking off.
How
sick have you guys
this COVID?
This
COVID
is pretty sick.
Got me. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I tried one day and I was just like, nope, not doing it.
Imagine what that would sound like. You're like,
too sick to masturbate.
I was, yeah.
I've never
couldn't even do it. I went to Aloha Tube and I got to the pick one, and then I just wasn't even into it and turned it off.
Aloha Tube, is that porn?
Yeah, great
Which
site.
one's that?
I never heard of it.
Aloha Tube. It's all. You'll love it. You'll thank me later.
It
just breaks down all the categories. It's awesome.
My 22-year-old sitting like 12 feet away from me. I'm like, ever heard of Aloha Tube? He's like, no.
It's a good porn site. Trust me.
How do you spell Aloha?
Look how serious
Are you serious right now?
Guys.
Aloha Tube.
Dude, it's important. Guys need to know where to get.
Girls.
I know a lot of girls.
I'm more of an ex-hamster guy, but that's just me.
X-hamster, I find really, really like. There's lots of
aggressive stuff,
amateur stuff on that.
There's on Aloha Tube, it breaks down so many categories. You've got a plethora of choices, if you will.
MILF,
a plethora,
amateur, Russian.
You should start a porn
What's your go-to category? What's your go-to category?
Threesomes,
foursomes, blowjobs, anything blowjob. You know, come on the
Horses,
face,
huh?
in the face.
Face stuff? You like the
I
facial
do.
videos?
Yeah, I do.
Do you really? In the
Yeah.
face, he said. In the face.
I've never gotten
facials
that.
ruin
Like,
pornography,
Me neither.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with James on that.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've never really understood
like
too
it.
is why do we need to gag them with our penis?
Oh,
Like, I don't see.
the violent face fucking needs to stop.
I don't get that either. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
get it.
I don't get off on anyone choking to death
The gack
because
gack.
of my.
You
Yeah,
guys talking about the gack gack?
The
Yeah.
dominance
Go,
thing.
go,
Like,
go, go, go.
she should
You're
look
like,
like she
yeah.
enjoys it, not like she's tolerating it. You know?
no, yes, I
You
want
ever
to see.
seen that face just before the facial, and they're like,
Yeah, where
I
they're
like
trying
how
to,
they ask
they're
for it.
worrying
I turn
about
it off
whether they're going to
immediately.
get it in
Yeah.
their eyes. Like,
Yeah.
that's very
Turn it off.
uncomfortable.
It's awful. And they look so happy whenever they finish on their breasts instead. They're like, yes, not
Thank God I don't have to dig this out of my eyes.
Anyways,
And my
Let's-
hair. Like,
Yeah, I
who
heard
wants
should
to
have
hair.
it there.
I
wash
heard
their hair?
a buddy of mine makes, well, he doesn't make it. He used to be a porn star. And not a buddy of mine, mutual
hold on,
friend.
stop
I
right
knew
there.
for a long
Okay,
time.
Dean, you would do this to Bonzi. What the fuck? I've been on this podcast for a year, and you just fucking uncover that you got a
I don't remember
friend
his name.
that makes porn?
Well, dude, I don't remember the guy's legitimate first name. He's a Toronto guy.
I'm not wrong. How
Portuguese
much
dude.
shit would Bonzi
Lord of
be
a
in
lie.
right now if that came up?
And
Portuguese.
we used to have him on the radio all the time. He had a 10-incher, and he once gave me his AVN award for the best anal scene. He
thought you were
brought
gonna
it
say
in and
something
gave
else.
it to me, and I'm like, I can't remember the guy's name though. I was just broken off the top of my mouth. Toronto guy. We used to have him on the show all the time.
Best
Anyway,
anal scene? Like,
yeah, he won.
He was doing it? He was getting it? Or he was giving it?
He was
when
giving
you
her.
said he once gave me AVN, I thought that was an STD. I was
No,
like, what's
he gave me his
AVN?
AVN award one day. He's like, "Here, I brought you one of my 12 best anal awards," and I'm like, "That's incredible! Congratulations!" It was pretty
The
cool.
porn couple I lived with in Nicaragua had won a couple awards too. I never saw them, but they said they won them. Went to the award shows in Vegas and did the whole 9 yards. So
How do you become an award-winning porn star? Like, what do you do that's any different than anything anybody else that does it? Billions of them that
Time
don't
and
get the
attention.
awards. Is it really?
I didn't really ask, but I'm gonna guess it's
Volume.
the more clicks
Dean,
and
it's
stuff you
volume.
get. Yeah, of course. The more clicks you get.
You know? You did enough for a 30-minute compilation this year, Stanley. Oh, good.
Volume. By sheer volume, he fucked more butts than anybody else in the world. Anyway, my buddy said, he told me, he goes, the only place chicks in actresses don't like the
Hair shots?
jism in the hair. Yeah, they
Yeah,
hate
it's
it
hard
in
to
the hair.
wash out, eh?
They don't. Yeah, it was like, oh, they don't like the jism in the hair bud. I'm like, oh, there you go. I learn something every day. Yeah.
That's another thing too, like having control of that. I mean, sometimes she's a bit of a fire hose for me. I don't think I would be missing her hair.
You got to split the opening to
What?
avoid the fire.
Jesus.
To avoid the what you do, so it doesn't. That's why it goes like
Thanks,
a
bud.
weird hose. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
That got weird. Got weird, all right.
Coming from a guy,
It's
who
like
shot
calcium
at
buildup
30
in a
feet at
faucet.
one
You got to
time.
make
Remember
sure
that?
that's all cleared out.
Yeah.
You know.
That's true. Well, anyway, I feel like we ended off on a high.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. That was a lot of fun.
The
That was a lot of fun.
All of a sudden, I'm really
Portuguese
depressed.
porn star will be coming up again. You might want to warn him. What's his
I gotta
name?
remember the guy's name. I can't remember his name. It absolutely escapes me. I don't remember. Toronto guy. Don't know. He used to
We'll find it.
He used to do the skydiving sex videos where he'd have sex while he was skydiving, and they would record that. Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Wow. I'll add that to the list of things that'll never happen to me.
Wouldn't want to get a Hummer on the way down on it in
The
skydiving, would
list
you?
is growing, by the way,
Yeah.
since I've been on
Imagine
this
that-
fucking podcast.
Dangerous for the balls. They'd be all flapping and shit.
Yeah, they would
Weird.
be. There's a
Well,
funny
especially
video.
mine.
You don't even need
An
a
extra
parachute.
parachute.
Yeah.
You
What's
don't
with
even
all the
need.
drag?
You don't even need those anchors in the hot air balloons. You just
Be
go up.
flipping
and
around like this. What's wrong?
throw
One
your
of
sling
his
your balls over
came
the
loose.
basket.
Got caught in the plane's rudder. Killed it.
If
Might
only
come
they
in
had
handy
a
when you go-
massive,
come in handy when you go
massive ball
fishing.
bag to save everybody. Lachlan died.
Oh shit!
Put it over my head.
Like the squirrel suits.
Is that a squirrel? No, it's Locke and his nuts.
Super bag.
All right, boys. Thanks for doing this.
Shit.
James
Thanks, dude.
DiFiore, Blackball Media, the podcast, blackballmedia.ca.
Shit.
And Blackball the podcast, and at James D. Fury on Twitter, at Bonzi
I bet
Live.
you Ray's
Tripping with
regretting
Bonzi.
jumping out so soon.
See you tonight, 9 o'clock.
Probably not. 9 o'clock, you got a Bonzi Live tonight?
Yep, you bet.
Who's on the show?
Just me. We had a guest, and then he bounced this afternoon from California guy. So he's going to be back, but for now, it's Bonzarelli show tonight.
All right. Well, I hope you list the litany of things that are wrong with you because you got the loser vax too. That'd be great.
Ringing in the ears.
I don't have anything wrong with me. Well, that's not true. I got a list. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we know. All right. Well, listen, good luck on your show tonight. Thanks for doing this. Lachlan Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton, at Lachlan Cross.
That was fun today, boys. I enjoyed that. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate you all. That's the crew with Ray, who's now part of the crew. Part of the ship, part of the crew. It is legitimately still snowing. It has been snowing for 24 straight hours. Oh, the sun's coming out finally. That's nice. Have a great day, everybody. Bearing gifts, we travel afar. Fear and fountain moor. Hey, anybody see Doug Ford today, the premier of this province? Shoveling snow with his media director right next to him, making sure that they got lots of pictures. What a couple of fucks. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. Thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. And thank you very much for spending time with us today. Don't forget, you can experience our partners at Domination, DMNTN.com. Dominate with content by going to DMNTN.com and use their AI to do your content. Super simple. You'll never regret it. It's free to try. If you do online content, gaming, streaming, podcasting, and whatnot, DMNTN.com. Try them for free today. Also, our friends at Ed's Fine Imports, edsfineimports.com. His gits are the best. He sells the best underwear in the country. Canadian-made, GITCH. That's the brand name. Pouch on the front, boxer briefs. Order from him today. He'll send you a free pair when you order 3 or more if you use promo code GITCH, GITCH. Then the number 3, promo code GITCH3. They're all yours. Black. They got purple, they got orange, they got red, they got everything. But get the darker colors, trust me, just in case. It's a little camouflage. But go to edsfineimports.com today. Clothing for men and boys, edsfineimports.com. And last but not least, Easy Auto Financial is where you get financing for a vehicle. It's all turnkey and no obligation either. It doesn't cost you a dime. People like to try to make you to pay for their financing. It's bullshit. These guys make sure that you do not pay for your financing. And you get a car and you get the financing despite your credit rating. Go to easyautofinancial.ca and check them out today. Have a great day, everybody. Don't forget to sign up for a newsletter at deanblundell.com. Appreciate you being here. I think that's it for us. Until tomorrow on this very program, we will see you at 3 o'clock right here on our Twitch channel, Dean Blundell TV on Twitch, YouTube, Dean Blundell Show on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts, Google, Spotify, Apple, and more. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye.